At the beginning of the 20th century, colonialism was still at its height in Asia and Africa. Empires were competing hard at establishing their own individual areas of influence. At the same time, attempts to destabilize those regions not under their control or rule were rampant. For the British Empire, one area that was of enormous importance was the Indian subcontinent, and protecting their prized possession was a priority that would last for another half-century. But our story is about how the term Middle East came into being. And to understand this, we need to contextualize the mindset of the times. For the British, singular control of the seas was a necessary element of military strategy that helped shape its empire for many previous centuries. And to protect the self-proclaimed colony India, a large portion of West Asia, including two main waterways, the Red Sea and the Arabian Sea, had to be controlled with an iron grip. As we would come to see post-World War I, the British had their eyes set on these nations that bordered these two bodies of water. But there was no name attached to this bizarre combination of empires, kingdoms, and protectorates. At the time, it was only referred to as West Asia. In addition, this term wasn't inclusive of all the areas the British needed and wanted to control. So the British came up with a name that made a lot less sense: the Middle East. As the term Middle East has been used increasingly over the last century, not only by colonial powers back in the day, but by what is now mainstream politics, businesses, education, and the media, it is necessary to identify its inherent flaws and exhibit how we unfortunately accept terms from historic influencers because they were incorporated at a point in time that served a purpose that today is neither applicable nor wanted. Here are 3 ways in which the term Middle East is severely misguided. The reference Middle East is terribly confusing due to its lack of geographical logic and imprecision. Middle suggests the point equidistant from the edges of something. How can you have a middle of an East, or an Asia for that matter, when you're including territories in Africa and the Mediterranean Sea that are considered west of Asia? If there's no region in Asia west of the Middle East, then in this case, the middle is not the middle. If upon hearing the term Middle East, a large number of developing yet problematic Arab nations come to mind. But as per its original territorial inclusions, the Middle East currently includes a country in the European Union, the Republic of Cyprus. The Middle East also contains a member of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, aka NATO. This country is the Republic of Turkey. You know it as Turkey, but the Turkish people just decided that it was time to reclaim their name and call it by its real pronunciation and end, once and for all, the westernized bastardization of the name. Middle East, in its current common interpretation, is identified as a grouping of Arab nations. But again, this is a misconception of great magnitude. Within the overall population of the Middle East, approximately 57% are Arabs. The largest non-Arab populations in the so-called Middle East are Turkish, Kurds, and Iranian, all of whom, and maybe this will be of a great surprise to some, are not Arab. We take a lot of information for granted. We don't question them because they're labels that we have accepted and use ourselves in a daily manner, even if elementarily inaccurate. Let's go back to calling the region West Asia and remove all the confusion. But maybe that's a bit too much of a stretch for the West to swallow. To have a West and its supposed symbolic associations linked with Asia ever again. Thank you.